Yeah, so this next one is from Tye Tribbett. Now, I don't know if you're familiar. I think most or many will definitely be, but very famous gospel singer, been around for, I guess, a long time now. Not only a gospel singer, but also in ministry. And I don't know pastor per se, but certainly has been in ministry as worship leaders and things of that nature. And he has what many are calling a controversial view about the church and how the church relates to our relationship with God. And keep in mind, this is a very well-known gospel singer. So let's listen to what he has to say and see if we can unpack anything with that.
Okay, here we go.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Right. But
Every church person that had an issue with what I said, first of all, didn't hear what I said. I never said the church was whack because I don't believe that. I believe we are the church. We are the body of Christ. The systems, the politics, the all of that dumb stuff. Ooh, see, I'm doing it again. It's whack to me.
What's the dumb stuff that's whack?
That's what let's say I'm thinking more psychologically than theologically. So the thought process around church, when the
rules.
The rules. If you serve your church, you're serving God. That's not true. You can serve God by serving the church, but it don't mean you. When you get saved at a church, and nothing wrong with this, y'all. I'm just saying stuff like this. They put you like on a growth track. So you get saved in the church, your life has changed. Thank you, Lord. I'm trying to cleanse myself. Then they put you on a growth track in their church, and then you kind of become a position in their church. Now you're the youth leader. So the proof almost that God is in your life is by like what you're doing in the church, or how you're serving in the church. Or he used to be a drug dealer, but now he's a deacon in the church. Well, do he have patience? Like, does he forgive? Like, it's not about what I do in this building. And I hear a lot of people say, I love my church. I love my church. And I nothing wrong with that. I don't hear a whole lot of, I love God, yo. I love my God. Yo, God, the focus is these businesses with God's name on it. Everybody, I'm not talking about everybody. There's a lot of great gatherings. You know what I'm saying? Live Church is one of them. But for the most part, what I've seen in my 48 years on this earth is a whole lot of stuff that I don't think Jesus was talking about.
Wow.
Whoa.
Okay. That one's pretty deep. I'm going to let you take the lead out on this one with your initial thoughts.
Yes, initial thoughts. Could have sounded like, oh, well, he's putting down the church, like all churches. I don't think he means all churches. I think he's just saying sometimes what can happen in church is this, that, okay, it looks like from the outside, you checked all the boxes, everything looks good in your life, but when you go home in your private life, like there's some crazy stuff that's happening. Yeah. So folks look on the outward and like, oh, things are good, but on the inward, it's not. And sometimes people do forget, hey, that inward may not always match up with the outward. So I don't think he's putting down per se the thought of that putting people on these growth tracks is supposed to help with the inward, but sometimes the focus gets lost. And in those things that seem to be on the outward looking good become the most important rather than the inward things, and working on being truthful and really getting to the root of issues and helping fix people or get them to where God ultimately wants them to be. I can see how focus gets shifted, and it can appear to be. Even when someone says, I love my church, yes. Yeah. It's okay to say that. I don't think he's saying it's not okay.
Right.
But where the priority is, like, you like church because the people and because it makes you feel good, or are you doing it because you love God and, that's... Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No, big time. And for me, like, I instantly, like, I'm looking at it from the church perspective. We are in ministry. Yeah, we are in ministry. So, yeah, it almost is like a, whoosh, it does feel like we're being attacked. So I'm trying to process all that. And I think we also have to be introspective. First of all, let me say that I agree. I don't think that he is attacking the church, but I think sometimes what I'll call the American church, because let's be honest, Americans love to be entertained.
Right.
Americans want to be entertained, bigger, better, louder, faster, whatever. It's just America. We're hardcore. We're all in. I think part of our American culture, churches almost have appealed to that sense. And I feel like I see what you're saying, because you were relating it to the person who is living out the experience, but
Right.
I'm thinking more about the church itself and its obligation. Like, have we gone? Not. I want to be careful. I'm not
Right.
saying I don't think we've gone too far, but at the same time, is he right to some degree that? And I'll say this: we have no growth track at Victory. I've never really. Now, obviously,
We have member steps. We do have
Yeah.
member steps and things that we,
yeah, there's member steps, but when it comes to leadership, most of the times we're not. I mean, that's because God has changed your heart and you are beginning to change, and there's a recognition of that, and then you step into leadership. But our ultimate goal is not necessarily to make you a leader. I don't know. You see why I picked this video? Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it
so
is.
it's
It
a lot to
is.
think about. But my heart is to say that, gosh, we do want to point people to Jesus. Church is great. Thank God. I see church as the tool. It's God's tool.
Yeah.
But obviously, the end goal is to get people to Jesus. I don't know.
It is. It's hard because I know we've said this before. Church ultimately is a business. I feel, and not that it's in the business of, okay, we're trying to get numbers, we're trying to get people, trying to get money, yada, yada. But there is an aspect of we need organization, and God is not chaos.
Yeah.
He's organized.
Definitely
Things
not
are organized.
chaos.
The universe is organized in such a way that things do this because this does this, and that's the way he created it. That's the way he made it.
Right.
So I feel like the church is ultimately supposed to mimic, and we are supposed to be that sense of, okay, it has to be organized. If not, we're going to assemble for a couple of months, and then we don't know where we're going. What's our vision? And then it just falls to the wayside. It falls apart, and people go their separate ways. I feel like, honestly, you have to have some way of tracking. And I feel like this is our human attempt to do the things that the Bible tells us to do as far as discipling. Like, okay, when you have one person you're discipling, it's easy to track, like, hey, let's talk, let's meet, let's do this, let's put you on let me help you with this, I don't know, whatever it is you're trying to help someone when you're discipling and mentor or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it gets definitely harder to track that and to know when you get bigger and you have a church and it's a group of people, and it's just a way of trying to be organized in such a way. And I do think there are churches out there that are in it for the money.
Yes.
Like, there are churches that are out there that are
That's
not in
it.
it for
That's
the
it.
money and that
Yeah.
are really
Yeah.
trying. So to lump it all together, I would say no. That's not correct.
Right.
But I have seen where that has happened, and it's all about the numbers and,
gosh.
so-
And just thinking about, as I sit here and think about his last comment when he said, I hear people saying, oh, I love my church, but I don't really hear them saying I love God. My gosh, here in the South, dude, it's almost like your church is your jersey. And we see it all the time. It's like you see all these churches competing for, and they're not outright competing, but when you look at what each church is doing, well, we're doing this vacation Bible school, and we're doing it looks like and then this church is giving
even
free
more so now because of social media and the pictures and
well, this church is giving stuff away. Come get the first 100 people get a free T-shirt, and so I believe it can be very easy, especially for people who are immature in the faith. For a new believer who has not walked with God and leaned on God, and God's really brought, I believe that they could easily get misconstrued with thinking the fact that they're loving their church, they're really loving and honoring God. And I really can see where Ty's coming from this. he took some heat for it. And I think, listen, when you're on that level and you have that kind of following, you're not going to please everybody. Your view isn't going to be the same. But just thinking about it, from what I can see here, y'all, we're in the summer. It's vacation Bible school season. And when I tell you, it's almost like and I know that deep down, it's not a competition and it's great for the kids. But there is something inside of me, especially being in ministry and knowing that there is a little bit of, for lack of a better term, there is a little bit of pride within churches when they feel like, oh, well, we're doing this. When they feel like they've one-upped another church. Gosh, I mean, am I just being real? Let's just be honest. Yeah. And I think that the mentality of an immature believer or somebody who's not strong in the faith, that's what they're going to equate. They're going to be proud of those things. Well, our church does this. Our church, and it becomes a competition. So in that regard, I can see where Ty's coming from, and that talking about the politics of it and the business side of it. And it sucks. It sucks that churches even have to do gimmicky things to get people to walk through the door. People should want to be in church and to hear the good news of the gospel. But guys, it's that consumer mentality, and the same way that they have it in the world, they are the same way with the church.
Well, two things. We're talking about human beings.
Right.
And human beings are fallible. Anything that human beings are involved in, there's going to be stuff that ain't right. But that's just the fact of the matter. That's just how it is. The other thing is the culture and like the social media. Everything that you see on social media is competing for your attention.
Right.
Regardless of if it's for an advertisement for a product, if it's a singer or an artist, some type of movie star, everything is the word buying for your attention. And what your eyes will see and what you will buy and what you will put your time into. Facebook is vying for your attention. It wants you to stay scrolling because that way the sponsors or the companies that are paying, they pay more money. Yeah. So it's almost one of those things like if the church is not competing for some of that, then we're going to lose that attention because the way the culture is with this social media. Everybody's going to be on these things. So what is it that you're going to see and what is it that's going to take your attention? So honestly, I mean, if you want to be a 20-person church, don't get on social media. Don't try to attract. I mean, you can go out and proselyte. And you can go, of course, send missionaries. That's the thing. But that's almost it's such a hard thing. But ultimately, everything is for your attention. So.
Well, and how are you going to send missionaries if you have no money? Guys, and oh gosh, it's crazy because, I see one side of it, but then it's like, guys, the reality of it is you can't do kingdom things. Obviously, yes, we're people of faith. True believers have faith that we know, faith the size of a mustard seed. But let's be honest, we're asking God for provision to do the things of the kingdom. And you just can't do kingdom things without the money. Now, I agree with what Ty said. It's not every church. There are great gatherings. And I feel so blessed to be part of one of those where really and truly the only one exalted is Jesus, where a pastor's not put on a pedestal, where the staff, where, we are in a position of serving. And so lots. I know this could go both ways.
We could talk about this for so many days.
Yeah. Very interesting though, right?
It is. And I could see we've been in ministry even before coming to Victory. Our church, we've always served in our church. We've always had some type of servant position. Yeah. Since we were teenagers. I mean,
yes.
That's so right. I can see how being in the ministry, he said he's been on the earth for 48 years. Well, how long has he been in ministry? Right. He's seen some things. He's seen people do things that weren't right, of course, because, they're human beings. So I think that all the things we can get sidetracked. We can lose our focus and we can get burnt by other people and like, okay, well, this is church in general.
Yeah.
Like this happened
That's
to me.
it, that church
I saw
hurt.
this was wrong. And like, that's all church
And
is.
to your exact point, and to Ty's point, gosh, how many people quit loving God or calling on God because they've been hurt at church?
By people.
By
God's people. You've
And
been
that
hurt by
was
God's
his
people.
voice. He's like, people saying, oh, I love my church, but I don't hear him saying, I love God. And that's the mentality. So gosh, it's crazy.
Right.
You know, the church is a tool. The people are fallible.
Yes.
We always say
Yes.
at our church,
Yep.
if you're looking for a perfect church, well, the minute you step into ours, it will cease to be one.
perfect.
Because and the point of that is that no one's perfect. Jesus is the only perfect one. And if you're looking for a perfect church, guess what? It's not going to be
There's
perfect.
no perfect ministry.
So,
There's no perfect because it's people.
Right.
Hello, it's people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
interesting stuff. I know he took some heat just for, and I don't have the all of the conversation or all of the things. I think there was no intended malice or anything, but let's be honest, when you're in ministry, guys, you do witness some things, and he's right. People who are supposed to love and be in leadership, some of the ones at the top, they can be callous and don't care and not even show those attributes, the fruit of the Spirit, so I can see where he's coming from. I saw at an early age a very ugly side to church, and when you're in that, it changes you. So
Yeah, I think there is a balance, and it's never. I don't think it's ever perfectly in the center, perfectly correct. I don't think any church ever gets to that. But there's a balance of it being too businessy and too much for profit and getting, and then on the other side, like it's not businessy enough. It's not organized. It's not going to last. It's nothing that's
Right.
going to be like it's chaos.
Yeah.
And I think there's a balance. Where is it? I don't know. Will any church ever be perfect and find out Jesus was the only perfect person?
That's exactly right.
So that's it.
Hey, man.